As in the rest of the medieval world, few women held high status in their own right.
We're back with another reaction video from Epic History TV. The grind doesn't stop. Oh my goodness, Epic History TV is so entertaining. This time it's the Islam Golden Age. I've heard of this, but I don't know too much of it, so I actually look forward to this reaction. Let's get right into the reaction.
In the 8th century Middle East, a new dynasty seized control of one of the world's greatest empires, the Islamic Caliphate. Though little remembered in the West today, the Abbasids reigned for 5 centuries. They oversaw an era of Islamic military dominance, city building, brilliant scholarship, and technological innovation. It has come to be remembered as Islam's Golden Age. This is the story of the Abbasid Caliphate. (632).
Shoot, it's not pausing. Weird. You know, it's funny because after these people fell, like, Islam just has been on a downward spiral. That's not like a joke or anything. Like, seriously, I know the Ottomans came, but after that, man, Islam is just downward spiral. I think it's because of the Abbasid Caliphate that we got algebra. I think. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
AD. In the Arabian city of Medina, the Prophet Muhammad lies dead. His followers, professing the new religion of Islam, sweep across the Arabian Peninsula, uniting it under the rule of Abu Bakr, the first Caliph, God's deputy on earth. Then they burst upon the world stage, taking on the 2 superpowers of the Middle East, the Eastern Roman and Sassanid empires. Both are vulnerable after decades of war, and the Muslims wage a stunning campaign, winning victory after victory. By 651, they have overrun 2/3 of the Eastern Roman Empire and almost all of the Sassanid Empire.
Holy crap! The Sassanid Empire. Oh, I remember the Sassanid Empire. I gotta learn more about them. The Sassanid Empire was like a menace, man. They were like a menace to the Eastern Roman Empire. Oh wow, and now they're just like gone. The Sassanids were Persians, right? I'm pretty sure they were Persians. Wow. Wow. Oh wow, that's impressive.
But in 656, the 3rd Caliph, Uthman, is assassinated, sparking the first Muslim civil war, or fitna. Ali, cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad, has the support of the people. But he's opposed by the governor of Syria, Uthman's kinsman, Muawiyah. 5 years of bloodshed culminate in Ali's assassination at Kufa. Muawiyah emerges triumphant and establishes a new Umayyad Caliphate. Further conquests helped to forge one of the largest empires in history. But it is riven by more civil war. One challenge.
680 AD. Wow. Wow. This period of time is very, 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 very intense, man. Holy crap. I think the Umayyads also expanded into Spain as well. I could be wrong. No, I'm pretty sure they did.
Comes from Hussein, son of Ali, grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. He opposes the succession of Muawiyah's son, Yazid. But in 680, he and his followers are defeated and killed at the Battle of Karbala. Supporters of Ali and his descendants will later become the Shiites. They still commemorate Hussein's death each year on the day of Ashura. vast Umayyad Caliphate continues to expand. But it contains serious internal divisions.
Right there. Right there. The Sassanid Empire. Oh my gosh, they're gone. Okay, that's funny.
Much of what we know about the Umayyad Caliphate comes from later sources, often hostile. But it seems clear that the small Arab Muslim elite that dominated this great empire was increasingly unpopular with many of its subjects, including some of those later termed dhimmi. These were non-Muslims, including Christians, Jews and Zoroastrians, who were treated as an underclass and made to pay extra tax. Even those who did convert to Islam, known as Mawali, were often treated as second-class subjects. Decades of discontent were about to boil over. The symbol of Umayyad authority was their white banner. But in 747, a new symbol rises to challenge their...
This is actually like the first good symbol from a Muslim country that I have seen. No offense, but like all the symbols that I have seen from these Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia and Syria with like all the Arab words and whatnot, I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of ugly. This is like the first good looking symbol that I've seen. I know this is words on it. I can't read Arabic, so I don't know what that is. It looks cool. Okay, to me it looks cool.
Their rule, the black banners of the Abbasids. If you think you could do a better job building a caliphate or leading a medieval kingdom to glory, Crusader Kings 3.
I am broke. I'm broke, alright? I'm sorry. I'm broke. I have to skip. Alright, if you want to donate to me, that would be cool though. Although I don't have any set up for donations right now. Alright, let me just skip.
The Abbasids are an Arab family, descended from the Prophet Muhammad's uncle Al-Abbas, from whom they take their name.
Bro, 6 wives is crazy. 6 wives, man. Oh, one guy, 6 wives. What? Okay.
They and their supporters believe this blood tie to the Prophet gives them legitimate claim to the title of Caliph. Far more so than the Umayyads, whom the Abbasids later portray as decadent and despised. The Abbasids promise a return to true Islam, to correct teachings and moral leadership, and send missionaries and agents out across the Caliphate to spread their message. In 747, with the Caliphate once more racked by revolt and civil war, the Abbasids will seize their chance. In eastern Khurasan, a general named Abu Muslim, probably a Persian convert, launches a revolt and takes the black banner of the Hashemites as his symbol. The Hashemites, descendants of Hashim, are the extended family of the Prophet, with the Abbasids prominent amongst them. This frontier region, today comprising northeastern Iran and parts of Turkmenistan and Afghanistan, is particularly ripe for rebellion. Here, Arabs and
that region is always just seems to be freaking unstable. So
Arab converts live side by side. They intermarry and fight alongside each other to defend the frontier. For many, the Umayyads are distant and unpopular overlords, What's more, opposition has been stoked for decades by Hashemite agents and missionaries who seek to topple the Umayyads and replace them with one of their own. They have sowed the seeds of revolution. So when Abu Muslim begins his revolt, he quickly attracts followers, Arabs, Persians, and Central Asians, many of whom are experienced warriors. And he proves a brilliant commander, winning a series of victories over Umayyad forces and occupying Kufa, capital of Iraq, in 749. The Abbasids now assume leadership of this revolution. And the following year, their forces meet the army of the Umayyad Caliph, Marwan II, at the Zab River. Most of what we know about the battle that follows comes from Abbasid sources. Caliph Marwan appears to have been a brave but reckless commander, launching a head-on cavalry charge against the Abbasid line. Abbasid historians tell how their own troops, inspired by recent victories, stand fast. Their spear walls repel the cavalry.
This is so biased. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I'm taking this all with a grain of salt right now. But this is still very interesting though. I wonder what sources he gets. Like, I know a lot of history channels, they don't really provide their sources, like, at all. Very interesting.
The attack ends in disaster. Umayyad morale is broken. Their army routed.
It's nothing like a little confidence boost to help ease you back into the dating scene. That also includes having a smile you feel.
Marwan himself flees the battle, but is pursued and killed in Egypt. Other Umayyads are likewise hunted down and exterminated. Even graves are desecrated. One surviving...
Oh no. Oh, disrespect. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so disrespectful. Talk about petty. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would do something like that myself.
A member of the dynasty, Abd al-Rahman, flees to Spain. Just a few years later, he establishes the Emirate of Cordoba, a second Umayyad dynasty that would flourish in Iberia for centuries.
Oh, wow. Wow. I knew that the Umayyads had a influence in Iberia, but I thought once they left, they left. I didn't know that there was a second Umayyad dynasty. Wow, interesting.
Meanwhile, Abul Abbas al-Safar becomes the first Abbasid Caliph, though it will take the Abbasids more than a decade to consolidate their hold on power. Al-Safar moves the Caliph's residence from Haran to Kufa, closer to the Abbasid power base in Persia. In 751, he sends an army to curb the westward expansion of the Chinese Tang dynasty. The campaign culminates in a...
China. This is the first time I've heard anything about freaking China. Wow, interesting.
Bloody victory at the Battle of Talas, but also marks the limit of the Caliphate's eastward expansion. Many who'd helped overthrow the Umayyads had sought the end of hereditary rule and a return to caliphs elected from within an elite group. They are to be disappointed. In 754, Al-Safar is succeeded by his brother Al-Mansur. The Abbasids will be the new ruling dynasty, and Al-Mansur will prove one of its greatest caliphs. But his reign begins inauspiciously with the execution of the brilliant and popular General Abu Muslim, now regarded as a potentially dangerous rival. Al-Mansur faces rebellion by the
I still can't get over that six wives thing, bro. Every time I see that, oh my goodness, bruh. Oh my gosh. When you think about it, you know what? I don't even know if I should talk about that because I don't want to like get into stuff that's too controversial. But I was just gonna say something along the lines of a lot of these Muslim countries, they still kind of live in this period of time when you really and truly think about it. The way how they are well, some of them. I've seen a lot of modernizing sorts of Muslim countries, but a lot of them still have that very I don't know the word. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I don't want to be too controversial.
The Alids, a powerful clan descended from the Prophet's son-in-law, Ali. They resent the growing dynastic power of the Abbasids and press their own claim to rule. Al-Mansur crushes the last major Alid revolt in 762, ushering in an era of stability, prosperity, and peace. That year, he orders the construction of a new capital on the banks of the Tigris River. Officially, it is to be known as Madinat as-Salam, the city of peace. It will prove his greatest legacy, a city that will become one of the glories of the medieval world. Baghdad.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
Too broke. I'm too broke. Damn it. Freaking hell. But I was gonna say Baghdad. Yes, Baghdad. Ugh. What a shame how that turned out in modern times. You know what I mean?
In the reign of Al-Mansur's grandson, Harun al-Rashid, the caliphate flourishes as never before, with Baghdad at its heart. There are many legends told about Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the rightly guided. He is, after all, a central figure in 1001 Nights, the masterpiece of Arabic literature. The image of al-Rashid that reaches us from such sources is of a devout, wise and beneficent ruler who prayed 100 times a day and each morning gave 1,000 dirhams to good causes. In legend, al-Rashid wandered the streets of Baghdad disguised as a beggar to see how his subjects lived. He was a brilliant horseman and patron of the arts and a keen chess.
Taking this all with a grain of salt, of course. Maybe he might be a good person, a little bit, but I'm still taking this all with a grain of salt.
Player. His court was a place where religion and philosophy could be argued and debated openly, even, on occasion, by a woman. In the Caliphate,
Oh, woman, oh, woman, oh.
as in the rest of the medieval world, few women held high status in their own right.
Based. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Based. It needs to be kept like that.
But as mothers, wives and concubines, they could exert huge influence. Al-Khazuran, once a Yemeni slave girl, rose from concubine to caliph's wife and wielded significant power during the reign of her husband, Caliph al-Mahdi, and son, Caliph al-Rashid. Famed for her intelligence and learning, she held discussions on policy and military strategy, received foreign ambassadors, and intervened on questions of justice. Much of her own enormous wealth she spent on public works and charity. Many likened her to a co-ruler, or even the real caliph. The success of al-Rashid's reign was underpinned by efficient government and administration. Much of it was modelled on that of their predecessors, the Sassanids, and they made extensive use of Persian and Central Asian bureaucrats. Of particular note was the Barmakid family. The Barmakids were descended from high priests of the Buddhist temple of Nobahar, near Balkh, in modern Afghanistan. As early Abbasid allies, they played an important role in government, helping to foster an age of Islamic statecraft imbued with elements of Sasanian Persian culture.
Interesting. So the Persians had a big influence in this empire as well. But I want to know more about like the influence of the Golden Age. We'll see what happens.
They served the Abbasids well for 3 generations, but the power games of court could be dangerous and unpredictable. In 803, al-Rashid decided the Barmakids had got a little too big for their boots. The family experienced a sudden and dramatic fall from favour, with many of its members imprisoned or executed. Their demise ended Barmakid control of the post of vizier, a position that had recently emerged at court as the Caliph's senior advisor and chief minister. It was a role of enormous significance. Some viziers would later wield so much power, they overshadowed the Caliph himself.
Do you know the U.S. Solar Company's nasty little secret? It turns out if you live in Florida, they
I don't care.
The fame of al-Rashid's court spread far and wide. Charlemagne, king of the Franks, Holy Roman Emperor, and
Oh, I was gonna say, bro, this is 804 AD. This is around when the Franks were around. Like, I didn't know that they were. I mean, this is still like hella early. This isn't even in the 11th century, but still, that's free. Yeah.
and the most powerful ruler in Europe, sent several embassies to Baghdad. In return, al-Rashid sent him dazzling gifts, including perfume, ivory chessboards, a marvelous water clock, and even an elephant named Abu Abbas, which lived for several years at Charlemagne's court in Aachen.
What? That is cool. Wow. So the Germans and the freaking Muslims had contact with each other. Wow. I never knew that. I learn something new every day. This is why I like reacting to this stuff.
Cultural life in the Caliphate, and Baghdad in particular, was remarkably cosmopolitan. The Abbasid court even celebrated Persian holidays, such as Nowruz, Persian New Year. Such open-mindedness helped the Caliphate to flourish as a center of culture, science, arts and medicine. The center of learning was the city's famous library, Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom, though little of its function is known today. Here and across the Caliphate, scholars translated classical works from Greek, Middle Persian and Sanskrit into Arabic. Their efforts ensured the survival of countless works that would otherwise have been lost, including those by great figures such as Aristotle and Galen.
Love it. I love it. Those people who knew how important it was to keep that stuff, because now we get to use it today and their legacy lives on. Dude, you know, every time I hear about whenever something gets lost throughout history, you know, that actually is like, oh man, that's so disappointing. That really does hurt me. It's just a personal thing, because it's like, oh wow, what could we have learned with that, right? It's so nice that they actually did that though.
They also made many of their own original discoveries, knowledge that would come to be much sought after by the medieval West. Baghdad's scholars led the world in many fields. Al-Kindi, known as the philosopher of the Arabs, was a famed polymath who wrote on logic, psychology, astronomy, astrology, and many other topics. Al-Khwarizmi's contribution to mathematics led to him being dubbed the father of algebra. The Latinized
There it is, algebra.
version of his name, algoritmus, is the origin of our word algorithm. The
Wow.
Christian scholar Hunayn ibn Ishaq was nicknamed the Sheikh of Translators for his role translating ancient texts into Arabic. Material culture also flourished under the Abbasids, with the introduction of glazed pottery in the 9th century, allowing new artistic possibilities. Many colourful pieces, decorated with animals and Kufic lettering, have been discovered across the former caliphate from this period. The Abbasid Caliphate also benefited from its position astride the Silk Roads, the name for the ancient network of trade routes linking.
I completely forgot that the Silk Road was a thing, that was basically like the main trade route at this time.
In Europe and Asia. Valuable imports travelled along this route, such as silk, spices, ivory, gemstones, and even thoroughbred horses. To encourage this trade, the Abbasids built new roads, as well as inns, hospices, and wells for the comfort of travellers. New ideas and technology also flowed along the Silk Roads. Chinese papermaking techniques first reached the Muslim world under the Umayyads, but it was under the Abbasids that paper production really took off. Much cheaper than parchment or papyri, abundant supplies of paper transformed the practice of administration and bookmaking, and helped medieval Islam to become one of the most bookish cultures in world history.
Wow. It's clear to me that these people were ahead of their time. Today everything is just dominated by the West. Oh, everyone wants to move to the West. Oh, the West is everything. The West is everything. It's just so fascinating how back then it was so different. It was these people. And it was like, how could they have possibly fallen off? Makes you wonder if the West is going to fall off too. Possibly. Because back then, you would think that these people could never fall off. Never ever. But they did eventually fall off. I wonder if that's going to happen with America. Because based on this right now, this sounds exactly like America right now.
I need to find the best way to learn math and science.
It's brilliant.org.
What?
In the 7th century, the first Arab conquests had pushed the frontier of the Eastern Roman Empire back to the Taurus Mountains. Since then, the Caliphate and Empire had been in a state of almost perpetual war, with frequent raids by both sides across the Syrian frontier. Twice the Arabs had even besieged Constantinople itself, but failed to take the great city. In 782, Al-Rashid himself had led an Abbasid force as far as the shores of the Bosphorus. By 804, the Eastern Roman Empire was paying annual tribute to the Caliphate. When Emperor Nikephoros stopped the payments, an Abbasid army crossed the Taurus Mountains and took his army by surprise at Knossos. The Romans
I was wondering what was going on with the Roman Empire. Jeez, man. Paying tribute? Oof. Well deserved. Dude, every time I see this map, I always see this map, I'm like, oh, I wish Carthage had dominated. I really wanted to see what Carthage could have become, but the Romans cucked them, and the Romans got their karma.
And suffered a heavy defeat. The emperor himself was lucky to escape with his life. The cycle of raid and counter-raid continued for years, with al-Rashid even moving the Abbasid capital to Raqqa to be closer to the frontier. But this fixation on his rival to the west may have blinded the Caliph to trouble in the east. In 809, news arrived of revolt in Khorasan. It was while traveling east to face down this rebellion that Caliph Harun al-Rashid became sick and died. His 22-year reign would come to be seen as a golden age for the Abbasid Caliphate, a time of prosperity, stability, intellectual and cultural.
But what did he die from? He just became sick and died? I'm pretty sure these people like died from like cancer or something. Because back then, right? You know how cancer is around today? And, you know, it's like one of the big killers, man. I think top 3 ways people die now is like from freaking cancer. And I always wonder, like, didn't people die from cancer back then? Like, why didn't people, like, why wasn't cancer a big deal? I know back then, the big deal was, like, leprosy and those types of diseases and whatnot. But I'm assuming that cancer was still a thing, but they just didn't have the technology to know.
Cultural achievement. But al-Rashid's own efforts to ensure a peaceful succession were about to backfire disastrously and plunge the Caliphate back into civil war. In the second and final part of Islam's Golden Age, we chart the catastrophe of renewed civil war, the rise of a new caste of slave soldiers, and the devastating onslaught of the Mongols.
The Mongol Empire. They were the ones. It makes sense. I was wondering, like, how did the Abbasids fall? And then it was like, oh shoot, Mongols. Duh. I'm so stupid. Oh man. Oh man, yo, definitely gonna eventually react to the second part. I am reacting to my Napoleon series, so I'm gonna be reacting to a bit of Napoleon series and maybe some more epic history stuff before I react to the second part. If you like the video, if you like my reactions, subscribe, make sure to hit the like button. It helps me a lot. Thank you for watching and goodbye.